Good morning everyone, welcome to Fin classes. Today we are going to discuss a unique concept called bad bank. From past 15 days in every business newspapers and channels we are observing one common article of debate called bad bank. What is a bad bank? A bad bank is one setup to buy the bad loans of another bank, significantly containing non-performing assets at market price or book value. So it's not a bad bank, it is a bank for bad loans or non-performing assets. By transferring such assets to the bad bank, the original institution may clear its balance sheet. It then works to recover and turn around the assets through professional management and or through sale of restructuring. In a sense, the bad bank works as an indirect bailout of these inefficient banks. This is not a novice concept, as in the Economic Survey of 2017, the chief economic advisor of that time, Mr. Aravind Subramanian, had suggested the creation of Public Sector Rehabilitation Agency (PARA), which will work as a bad bank to absorb the losses from public sector banks. And now, much to our surprise, India's gross NPAs amount to a massive 10 lakh crores. Before we move on to find out all the facts, just let's have a look at the evolution of bad bank. It was all started in the year 1988 with the establishment of Grand Street National Bank, a bad bank, by Mellon Bank of US, with a huge sum of $1.4 billion transferred to this bad bank, followed by Sweden during its banking crisis set up Retrivia and Securum as two bad banks, France with Credit Illinois, Finland with OHY Arsenal and Sponda, Indonesia with Indonesian Bank Restructuring Agency, likewise Belgium, UK, US at the time of subprime lending crisis. All these companies, including China, all these countries, they try to set up this bad bank. Likewise, there are both success and failure stories regarding the bad banks. The success and failure in these countries is mainly attributable to the type of NPAs they were possessing, and most of the NPAs were originated by the bankrupt or loss making companies in these countries. But whereas in the case of India, it is substantially by the willful defaulters. As we all know, some of them even flew away from India. So, this willful default is the key point in determining the success or failure of a bad bank in India. Let's go in detail. The issue of NPAs is mostly exist only in public sector banks. Why? It's a well-known fact for the public in India. We'll see the reason explicitly in later stages. But first, let's look at what the stats tell us about the quantum of NPAs. Here the stats are purely of corporate NPAs, which have been taken from public reports. Means according to public reports, the NPA percentages of, means the corporate NPA percentages of Andhra Bank stands at 86%, followed by Union Bank of India 78%, Indian Bank 74%, State Bank of India 73% and Allahabad Bank 70%. Let's have a look at the primary reasons for the problem in the PSBs. Lack of stringent regulatory laws might be the one of the reason. Why? Because The escape of many corporate entities triggers this as a clear reason. Then, top management decisions, as we see in the case of ICICI and Videocon scam, traditional or conventional approaches in handling the situations and running the banks. The approach of PSBs mainly towards the retail customers or depositors will clearly show how they are managing the things. Apart from that, the attitude of employees. So the bank employees are myopic towards certain set of people in the society. So their behavior will change accordingly. Even I feel that the job safety of PSB employees may also make them behave rudely with retail investors. The assumed credibility that the bank employees have towards business people and celebrities. Because of these reasons, many are taking lenience and playing with the money of the taxpayers. Treatment of customers in PSBs and private banks differ in tons. In PSBs, though they do business with customers' money, especially retail investors or depositors' money, they were never given any fair treatment. Hardly a 10% of the people will get some attention from them, and rest of the 90 people, they will come under the category which I said. But private banks give paramount importance to the customer. So this aspect is always missing in PSBs. I think all these are the reasons why they behave like this. Now, let's look at the challenges and open questions with regard to establishing the bad bank in India. So as all we know that you have a regulatory, the regulator is taking care of everything. We have the government, the system. Government will make the system, is trying to make the system more transparent or to try to develop some corporate governance in the system. But where we are lagging, we need to question it. So who need to be responsible for this? Who need to be accountable for this? We have to know. Why? Because on an average, each and every individual of India is holding a deposit. Even the Indian customers, as they are very risk averse, they try to go to public sector banks even now than to go to private sector banks or private banks. So by taking the advantage of this, do you really feel that the banks have the right to play with the depositors? Just a few questions from my end. If you feel anything is right or wrong, feel free to share your opinion in the comment box. This is purely my opinion and my stature. So from my point of view, how I am looking at the bad bank, I'd like to share with you. That's what I am doing. I did a lot of research, okay, and much to my surprise, the bad loans are due to 30 to 50 business houses or promoters in our economy. We are 135 crore people. Out of that, only 30 to 50 bank houses are holding, or only 50 individuals are holding 50% of NPAs are because of this 50 people. Why are we not recovering their families' assets? Why do we want to protect them? And the most interesting part is, for 50 people, do we really need a huge setup called bad bank? Again, it's a million dollar question. When the fact is about the corporates, how come banks claim the reasons as poor farmer loans and educational loans as prime part of the NPAs. Till the RBI in the year 2015-16, it did asset quality review inspections. So till that time the banks used to say us the same story, the NPAs, increasing NPAs are just because of the default done by poor farmers or the educational loans. But to my wonder, some of the states are offering free education and there is no requirement of education loans to middle class. Then who are those educational loan defaulters? And one more surprising fact is that whatever the farming loans are there, 80% of the willful default from these farming loans are by corporate agricultural farmers. Just understand. Where from we get the required capital to establish bad bank? Okay, so who is going to fund this bad bank now? Why? Because analysts are saying it required some 50,000 to 60,000 crores to set up a bad bank or to transfer this bad assets from PSBs to bad bank. The 10 lakhs crore worth of NPAs, in order to transfer them or in order to transfer that to an asset restructuring company and asset management company, they are saying that to set up asset restructuring company they require almost all 70,000 crore rupees, and for one AMC almost they require 500 crores. If that's the case, where from this 70,000 crores is going to come? Again routing the middle class prompt payers and taxpayers' money? Maybe so. If that is so, just imagine one more question linked up here is 10 lakh crores to waive off, they require 50,000 to 60,000 crores. In 10 lakhs, this 50 or 60,000 crores is to the tune of 5% or 6%. Or if 70,000 crores, 7%. So what happened to that 93% of bad loans? Where that will go? How that will be repaid? So this is also one of the big question. It's like a black hole. Why the system is not making those managers and employees responsible and accountable for those originated NPAs? Hardly a few employees will be going into the bars and the rest will be protected by the politicians. We all know it's an open secret. Why are these not making part of their performance evaluations? Why there is no stringent evaluation mechanism in the banks whenever an NPA enters into the books of account? Who is responsible for this? Why the depositor has to face this? He has to invest money and he has to bail out, and finally he is the victim of all this practice. Why are these not making part of their performance evaluations? Most importantly, what is the guarantee that the same banks, same management and same employees will not generate the NPAs again? The attitude of the employee is not going to change. When that is not going to change, how come just cleaning up the balance sheet will revive the system? Down the line, a moral hazard is created or will be created. With that moral hazard, ultimately they are going to pile up. A leniency will be developed in the banking system. Do we ready? Are we ready for that? It's fine to have some 2% as NPS, but what is the guarantee that the management or approach and attitude of the perceived notion towards this set of business, high net worth and celebrities, will change? No. Basically, when the banks are relieved from bad loans and no one was made responsible, the situation gives a large lenience. And what is the guarantee that again in the same concept or the same history not repeats? Prompt payers are the middle class people, and for which banks obtains thousands of signature and seize or auction their assets immediately, publish the list in the newspaper. But when it comes to the celebrity defaulters or corporate defaulters, why the same approach is not followed? So let's wait and see what happens, how the scenarios are going to change, and who will become the scapegoat in this concept of bad bank. Thank you.